What's up, guys? My name is Mohit, and guys, today I'm going to show you something really marvelous. How many of you actually thought that the text typing effect could be achieved simply, purely, standalone, only with HTML and CSS, without using any jQuery, JavaScript, Flash, nothing at all, no crutches? HTML and CSS alone is so powerful that it can actually accomplish that using the animation property. Okay, let me straight away show you the browser preview. See, notice as I refresh the browser, you see the text typing effect, you see rupees 1800 shrink, and on the screen what remains is rupees 1600. Let me show that to you again. A refresh. So that's the text typing effect. So we have rupees 1800 shrinking, and that leaves on the screen rupees 1600. Okay, so just jazzed it up a little with two classes, shrinker and blinker. You can see the blinking cursor out here, you know, that's using a class, a blinker, and the shrinkage, I'll show you the shrinkage again. Let's refresh again. Happened because of a class called shrinker where I just played around with the two CSS properties. One was opacity and the other was letter spacing. Yeah, just crunched the letter spacing and absorbed the opacity and made it vanish into oblivion, into nothing actually, from 1 to 0, and this was the result. Okay, so you will be surprised how easily it was accomplished using the animation property. I've actually spoken about it. I've said it's probably the most powerful CSS3 property, and get cozy with it, get to know it better, because it can do lots for you. Okay, in my example I've not used any vendor prefix like dash, webkit dash, 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 mouse dash, although you can use it, but most modern contemporary browsers are capable of handling CSS3 without vendor prefixes anymore. Okay, let me show you the code quickly. So this was the code I just made some time ago. Okay, so in fact what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna destroy most of the code, 80 to 90% of the code, and we'll do it right from scratch. Okay, right, so what I'm gonna do is let me make another copy of this file. So let's save as, and let's say text typing effect 1.html. let's save it. Okay, so we have the original copy intact, just in case anything goes wrong I can always refer to it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, guys, I'm gonna destroy most of the code. In fact, how about doing it from the very beginning itself? In fact, let's just show you that. That'll be fun. So let me select everything and just destroy everything. Right. Okay, so let's begin. HTML:5 tab. I'm using a code assist plugin, Embed. Alright, so document, I'm leaving the title as document for convenience. Okay, and paragraph tag, let's say Saint Botanica's meal replacement shake now rupees 1800, which I'm gonna cancel. 1800 comma rupees 1600. all right, Saint Botanica's meal replacement shake now only. I've actually reviewed this product, guys, and you can actually check my channel for that, just in case you would want to do it. Alright, let me just see if the recording is happening the way I would want it. Yes, it is. Fine. Alright, so same button just made representation now, whatever. Yep. Now let me, after the title tag, drop in opening closing style tags like so. So we're gonna use internal embed styles. Okay, let me create styles for the paragraph. Okay, the width I'm gonna decide, in fact let's start with color, lime. Right, let me drop in some code for the body. Let's say a margin or M100, expand using emit bg, expand. Okay, save the stuff up, and let's say font shorten property, which not font family, just font shorten property, which requires me to mention the size and the font family, which is, let's say, Palatino linotype. In my example, this is the one that I would want. Palatino linotype. So you need, when you're using the font shorten property, you must mention the font size and the font family, at least, for it to work. Okay, at this point let's take a browser preview. So let's hit the desktop. Righty, so this is text typing effect and this is text typing effect 1. So this is our document, guys. So Saint Botanica's meal replacement shake. Okay, actually we need the whole thing. Which is this. Just copy this, spit up. Let's go back and let's replace the text. All right. Okay, width. I'll tell you why I'm using this. Is the reason why I'm using the width, and I know for sure the width is around 1000. Let's refresh to be absolutely sure nothing is getting truncated. Let's put a full stop out here. Let's space it out, and for the blinker, you know, we need a cursor, the blinking cursor. So we're gonna use a span out here with, let's say, a class of blinker. Right, and out here I'm gonna push in a character which is a pipe like character, which is this. Okay, fine. Let's take another browser preview. So you see this is gonna act like the cursor, this character, and we are gonna destroy this bit, this much. That'll be using the class shrinker. Okay, so a blinker and a shrinker. So let's go with another span tags. Let's cut this from here. Let's paste this out here because we're gonna destroy this bit, and hence I'm gonna use a class called shrinker out here. A blinker and a shrinker. Okay, let's save it up. No, let's see if everything's fine. Yes, it is. Alrighty. Right, so guys, at this point what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna terminate the tutorial, promising you that I want to see you in the next and the concluding and the last part 2. So please join me then. You have a good day. Bye bye. Peace. Welcome back to part 2, guys, and yep, so the next step is to actually use the all too important property, the animation property. Okay, so animation, and this is to create the text typing effect. Animation, what should we call it? Type, simple, and let it run. The duration, let it be 4 seconds, which is I think the right duration, otherwise it may go too fast or too slow. And let's actually test it right now. So just a name for the animation and the duration. Let's define. So this is stating the animation. We need to define it elsewhere. Okay, let's say I'm gonna define it out here using the @ keyframes rule, and then the name of the animation, which is type. Righto. Let's see. Initially the width of the paragraph is 1000. We're gonna play around, we're gonna mess with the width, and that's how we're gonna achieve the text typing effect. So all that, let's say at 0%, all that I'm gonna touch is the width. See, ultimately the width is gonna be 1000, but if I keep it initially at, let's say, a width of 0px, because ultimately at 100% it's gonna be 1000. We don't need to mention that. That's a taken, right? So basically what what this animation is gonna do is just allow a window that expands from 0 pixels to 1000 pixels, and hence slowly showing up the letters, giving you that impression that it's getting typed. You'll see that. Right, you got that impression, but since it did not get enough width, so what happened, it just goes down, and as the width expands, it kind of adjusts. So there's a way around this, and that's by using two more properties in CSS. The first being white space, and this will not allow the text to wrap in the next line. At the same time, I'm gonna say overflow hidden. Now what this will do is it will only show the letters that can fit in a window, and anything over that will be truncated. So using these two properties, no wrap, value of the white space will not allow the paragraph to wrap in the next line, and overflow will not allow any extra characters beyond that small window that keeps on expanding to show up. Now you won't believe how how much this will impact the output, the browser preview. There you go, zoop, right? But this is not the way typing actually happens. It happens stepwise. It is not like this was very smooth. This is not the way it actually happens. So what I'm gonna do is we'll go back to the animation and add steps of 60. This is the way you actually do it. 60 steps. This is the syntax. So this will bring the jerkiness that's so that's so much typing, that's so much like typing, right? So you'll see the difference now. You see that? That way. So you could see that we have achieved the stepwise increment of the letters. So this actually brings in the text typing effect. Okay, so that's cool, but that shrinkage part and the blinker part is still remaining. So let's tackle that as well. Righto. So next, guys, we're gonna jazz it up, as I said, with classes. Let's jazz it up then. Blinker and shrinker. Okay, so let's go with the class blinker first. So blinker. Right. Now I'm going to state out here, blinker is is a class. This is shrinker out here, this is blinker out here. 935. Blinker is for the blinking cursor, this character that you're gonna make sure that it blinks now. How do we do it? By simply saying 0% opacity 0. That should work. See, no, I'm sorry, not this way. Just cut this out. This will be give me a sec, guys. Let me just ponder. I'm gonna pause the video for a while to think. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we straight away gonna start with the animation property without using any vendor prefixes, and let's call it blinker itself, right, and 1s duration. That's it. Let's define. So let's define the animation using the @keyframes rule. Blinker, and let's say 0%. Yep, 0% opacity 0. Let me first test and then I'll explain my stuff. Okay, let's see whether the blinking actually happens or not. Still not working. Just a sec. Still not working. Give me a sec, guys, to ponder what could have gone wrong out here. Alright, guys, right, so I figured it. The only mistake was not mentioning the iteration count. It should be infinite because the blinking is gonna go on forever. Okay, so the name of the animation, blinker, duration 1 second, and the iteration, animation iteration count. So this is the way you write shorthand notation for animation. So infinite times opacity 0. So initially the opacity was 1. So what will happen at 0% state, it will be 0, and at 100% state it will fetch 1 because by default everything is 1. So it'll go from 0 to 1. Anyhow, tend towards 1 because that's the default. But initially it'll be 0, so 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1. That's the way it's going. You don't need to mention 100% because that's the default for every element. Opacity 1. Alright, here the width goes from 0 to 1000, 0 to 1000, 0 to 1000, and the opacity tends to go from 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1. You don't need to mention 1 because that's the default. It'll just tend towards 1 every time and go on forever, infinite. So let's take a preview now. So you should see the blinker work. See that? The blinker is working just the way we actually want it. Right, so next let's do the shrinker to jazz it up further. थोड़ा तड़का लगाते हैं shrinker से. Okay, that's the local language Hindi. Let's define shrinker. Right, you see the class shrinker is out here. Span, why everything is in span? Because it's an inline element. So it remains in the same line. The stuff that we push inside remains in the same line. The mission, the goal is to actually shrink this stuff because that's the old price and the offer price is 1600. Guys, let me remind you once again, Saint Botanica's nutritional meal replacement mango shake for weight loss is something that I've reviewed on my channel, so have a look if you wish to. Right, So let's do the shrinker. This time again, let's go with the animation. We just want vanilla, the vanilla way, the plain Jane vanilla way. As I said, I'm not going to use the vendor prefixes, right? So animation, and let's call it shrinker. Okay, the class is a dot or a period shrinker, and the name of the animation is shrinker, which is fine because they're different. That period, that full stop, that dot makes a difference. So animation shrinker to happen how many times? Just one. So the iteration count should be 1, which if you don't mention, the default is also 1, which is fine. What is the duration? See, I would want the shrinker to happen only after the typing is over. So let's keep the duration as 1s and the wait as 4s. So the animation should run over 1 second after it's waited for 4 seconds, because in those 4 seconds the text is going to be typed out. Right? Makes sense? Alright. The iteration count and the number of times the animation should occur can be 1, but if you don't mention, it's actually 1 itself. Right. Alright, and since I've stated the animation with the name shrinker, let me define it properly then using the @keyframes tool. So @shrinker. Oh, sorry, @keyframes. Keyframes are point in time where changes happen. And shrinker, let's define shrinker. So let's say at 0%, again at 0%, let the letter spacing shrink to, so that's gonna crunch that word rupees 1800. That phrase is gonna crunch that minus 10 px. Normally it's more than that, you know, a fraction of a pixel, but I'm taking it in the negative, so it'll crunch it. Alright, crunch it over 1 second. The letter spacing. In fact, at this point it makes sense to actually take a preview. There's something more that I need to add, but let's first check whether this is working fine. And what it will be at 100% is something letter spacing 100, you know, which is the default, which is some letter spacing. So you don't need to mention that because that's the default. Just need to mention 0%, that's enough. So initially it'll be rather this should be 100%, you know. Initially it'll be some spacing, and then after a second it'll crunch. So initially it'll be the default is some letter spacings there. I don't know how much, but it's definitely in the positive, and then it'll shrink in the negative. So let's see what impact this much of code actually has. So let's do a refresh again. Yep, see that? But you see what happens once it actually crunches, it goes back, it gets reset, and for that we'll need to use a forwards out here. What this will do is it will not allow the animation to reset, so it will remain in that step forward state. This is a part of the animation fill mode, so it will remain in the forward state, not the backward state. It will not get reset. So let's see what difference does it actually make. There we go again. So the blinking cursor appears and the phrase actually shrinks into some kind of a garbage. Okay, and that garbage we need to remove. And how do you remove that? You remove it by using the opacity again, setting it to 0. So simple. Okay, so in the 100% state, the final state, it will be 0, but in the initial state it was 1. So the opacity is going from a 1 to a 0, and the lattice spacing going from something to something negative, something positive to something negative. And let's see the impact of all this. This should be the final product. Something not right out here, guys. Why? Pause time again, ponder time again. Okay, this time the glitch was pretty small, just needed a semicolon out here, not a comma. So this should work now. Very small, silly syntax errors. That's actually yepo. Absolutely, let's do it again. Bam. Beautiful. Shall we try a higher value? Let's see how this actually works. Makes no difference actually, right? So guys, this text typing effect achieved only with the animation property. The animation property, the longhand notation has you know, several other properties, 8 in fact. You should get cozy with it, like animation name, the animation duration, the animation delay, the animation iteration count, the animation direction, which if not specified is actually normal, and we were using normal, so we are not specified. The iteration count if not specified is actually 1. Okay, the animation fill mode if not specified should be none. The other values being backwards, forwards, and none, right? Backwards, forwards, none. Yeah, and then we have this one more property is not at the tip of my tongue right now, and the values are running and paused. Anyways, you can check it yourself. So we have not used that property, that longhand property, in our example. Anyways, so guys, I hope you found this jazzed up text typing effect achieved using CSS only. You have a good day. Bye bye. Peace.